Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with Brandon. So today we have a special guest that's coming on. Her name is Sam Sorbo. She is the wife of Kevin Sorbo, who was featured in Hercules in the movie. She was actually in the movie with him. A wonderful person. She's an actor. She's a producer. She's a writer. And today we want to have her on to talk about this new endeavor that her and her husband has developed. They created. She actually wrote the book called Let There Be Light. 10 days later, in just last month, they released the movie that goes along with the book Let There Be Light. So we're going to have her come on. We're going to have her get into what the movie is about, how the title was created, what the thought process was, and how this movie can impact and influence our current culture. And so we'd love to have her on the show. This is a special show for us. So I hope you guys enjoy. Stay tuned, and we'll be interviewing her, and you guys will have a special feature with that. So thank you, and let's roll. All right, Sam, thank you for coming on to the show with Breakfast with Brandon. We just really love to have you. So we're going to start right with the question. So I just want you to tell me a little bit more about you and why faith-based movies.
That is such a good question. First of all, okay, a little bit about me. I stopped going to the theater. Oh, wow. I would go to the theater with my family, and I would get there and I'd watch the movie. And it was typically there's an agenda in a lot of films that I disagree with, that rubs me the wrong way or whatever. And so typically I'd leave the theater and I'd be saying, oh, there's 2.5 hours, I'll never get back. Right. And so I just stopped going to the theater because it just stopped being worth it to me, by and large. And that doesn't mean like every movie, but most movies I'd be like, well, let me wait, let me read all the reviews I can. And by the time I got around to it, the movie had left the theater. Anyway, and so I was thinking one day what it would look like, because atheism is a faith. People don't understand that atheism is a faith. In fact, Wikipedia lists atheism/agnosticism as the third largest faith in the world. And they've actually got a new word for it. They call it irreligion, which I find so fascinating. To be irregardless, which is not a word, so we're just making up words now. I thought about this one day. I thought, what would it look like if the world's greatest atheist had a crisis of faith? And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, now that's a movie I would want to see. That's a movie I'd pay to go see in the theaters, frankly. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, I'm going to write this movie. I called Dan Gordon, who's a very well-known Hollywood screenwriter, and asked him to write it with me. And when he heard the idea, he jumped on board, which I was very blessed by. And then about 2 weeks later, serendipitously, completely out of the blue, Sean Hannity called my husband and said, Kevin Sorbo, I want to produce a faith-based movie with you. Do you have anything we can work on together? And so the three of us, of course, hopped on a plane, Dan, Kevin, and I, and we pitched Sean. And after about half an hour, Sean wrote us a check. So the whole genesis of this movie is quite remarkable. But why faith-based movies? Because every movie is faith-based. Every movie is based on somebody's faith. Jesus spoke in parables because storytelling moves the world. Storytelling engages emotions and the brain together, and it changes the world. And right now, the world is being changed in a direction that I dread, frankly. There's a darkness that's encroaching in the world. And in fact, the other day, Kevin posted this. I think I posted it too on our Facebook pages. The posters outside the theater where Let There Be Light, our new movie, is airing, is showing. We took a photo, and there are 3 posters and then 2. And 3 of the 5 posters are horror flicks. Oh, wow. With like a graphic posters, like horrifying posters, skeletons and stuff. And then one of them is Bad Moms Christmas, which features 3 women giving Santa a lap dance.
Wow.
And then there's my little film, Let There Be Light. And I'm just like, wow, like these are our options now.
Right.
I mean, they've taken Christ out of Christmas to the best of their, with their best efforts. Now they're going to denigrate Santa.
Right. That's
you know
terrible.
What I mean? It's just like, wow. So that's why faith-based. By the way, I eschew the title faith-based because, first of all, I said every film is faith-based, but faith-based was a term that was sort of coined to, in a sense, to pigeonhole Christian movies. Faith-based, they're over there.
Yeah.
And, initially it kind of was true. I mean, Christian cinema was very sort of heavy-handed and very beat you over the head with a Bible kind of thing. But that's not the case anymore. And even Hollywood has joined in and created some really fine Christian film content. And I'm hoping to see that trend continue. So I'm just doing my little part with my movie, which is very, how do you call, I would say Hollywood caliber, but I'm almost reluctant to use that term anymore because the term Hollywood has become so tarnished with all of the allegations that are flying around right now, that, it's kind of like, but I have a Hollywood caliber, Oscar-worthy screenwriter that co-wrote the script with me. My husband is one of the finest actors out there today. He's incredible in the movie. People are just emailing left, right, and center about how moved they are by his performance. And you can, even if you go to lettherebelightmovie.com and watch the trailer, you'll see pieces of it and you'll go, oh my gosh, yeah, that's a, and the film, he directed the film. He did a remarkable job on just the film itself. So what we found is really amazing. Audiences are sitting all the way through the credits.
Wow.
They applaud at the end of the movie and then they don't move. They just sit there and they just sort of absorb. People are meeting strangers on the way out of the theater and hugging on them because the film really engages, really moves you, and you leave the theater feeling uplifted and hopeful for the future, and you feel like a better person almost. So it's been really great.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad that you guys make films like this because I feel the same way that you do when it comes to watching film and going to the movie theater, looking at stuff that just, it has no purpose or no point to it. And it doesn't stimulate faith. Like my life is based on Jesus. And so when I go to a movie and it's not about Jesus or it's anti-Jesus, it makes me feel uncomfortable, and I don't want to let that into my spirit. So, wonderful. I wanted to
that's
ask,
a good point. You don't want to let that in.
Right.
Oh, we need some barriers, right? Not everything out there is good for us,
right?
And we do need those barriers. And there's a lot of content out there that's Hollywood produced that makes the pastor, the priest, the evil person, makes the cop the evil person. And initially it was nouveau, and it was like, wow, nobody would suspect that a cop would be the bad guy. Right. And so I understood sort of the genesis of it, but it's become so commonplace now. It's expected that the cop's the bad guy, the priest is the guy who's been abusing people or whatever. And I'm kind of fed up with that.
So with that being said, do you think that this movie will somehow stimulate more movies like this, more Christ-based movies, more, I would say movies that leave you with a sense of purpose and hope when you leave the theater, instead of leaving with dread and superfluous stuff in your mind, but more geared towards pushing Hollywood or pushing the movie industry into a direction of hope and passion in movies?
Well, okay, I would hope so, but as we've pointed out, it's a clash of worldview. Right. It's two different religions. Right. Every movie has a faith, right? I mean, they produced Noah. They hired an atheist director, an avowed atheist, not somebody who was sort of ambivalent, was going to tell the story sort of how. I mean, so I don't know what my film is going to do to sort of stimulate this. It's already happening to a small degree. There are people out there who are trying to put more Christ into movies, more of Christ's message of forgiveness, more of the light, if you will, into movie making. And there are a lot of people out there that are trying to do that. I think that the struggle becomes when you get too caught up in the message, that you're trying to get that message out. Right. And the way that I'll say the left has been very successful is they haven't been as focused on that message. They simply created content and then infused it with the message. Right. And so the priest was the bad guy. Oh my gosh. And you don't realize that you've just been you've just been lobbied against the church. You've just, that these things that are foundational to our culture are under attack. You don't realize that when they, every sitcom over the past 20, 30 years now, basically, the dad's the stupid one.
Right, exactly.
And the dad's dumb, and he's, and he breaks the thing, and mom has to fix it again. And, now we have a fatherhood crisis in this nation. Yeah. There's a reason that we have a fatherhood crisis, in that we don't respect dads anymore. Right. Mom works, mom's the breadwinner, mom's this, mom's that, which, okay, great. That makes me feel good, right? No, we need to uphold fathers. And we've totally destroyed, in a sense, this idea of the family unit. We're redefining the word marriage. And we have to understand that Hollywood leads the culture. Right. Hollywood storytelling leads the culture. So yes, I'm hopeful that there are people out there who are saying, you know what, we need to make better stories that tell the story that we want to infuse into our culture. But we can't be heavy-handed about it. Right. And that's where the left has been very successful, because they are anti-family. They are they're pro-government. There's one thing that they're for is, totalitarianism. That's awesome. Right. They're pro-slavery, seemingly, because obviously if you have a totalitarian system, then the people are enslaved by the government. Right. But they're not pro-family. They're not pro-father. They're not pro. So we do need better storytellers. Mm-hmm. We also need funding. There are people out there, and I find this kind of interesting. And I respect people who put their money where their mouth is. And there are people out there who support political candidates because they see that as a way to change the culture. But politics is downstream from culture. Politics is downstream from Hollywood. If you want to change the culture, start telling stories that will change the culture.
Right. Awesome. So this is our way of regaining ground and influencing culture in a positive way, spiritually too. So that's kind of the way I see this movie. Just one curiosity that I had, because I've seen this movie, God's Not Dead, and Kevin's book. Is there anything within the movies, whether it's the dynamic between the family, like the husband and wife are separated, or the two kids, or the faith, non-faith, the atheist perspective, who then transitions to a faith in God? Like, is any of that have anything to do with your personal testimony or Kevin's personal testimony?
It all has to do with my personal testimony.
Right. like specifically,
this movie is my soul on the screen. When we finally finished the movie and showed it to an audience for the first time, I had a nervous breakdown. Like, I just bared my soul to the world. You know what I mean? So yes, absolutely. Yes. Do I see that there's a fatherhood crisis in the United States, and I want to tell a story that speaks to fathers? Yes. And in fact, strangely, look, the genesis of the movie came from deep within me, or if you will, it came from above, but somehow, right? When we tested the movie with audiences, women loved the movie, but men loved it even more, which I found surprising. And then I started thinking about it, and I thought, it makes sense, because we depict a father in crisis. He's in crisis within the family that he's created on earth. He's in crisis with his father above, which I believe is foundational to the crisis that we have with fatherhood in the United States. Is we're having a crisis as a nation with the father above. Right. And so all those things play out in the movie, just in a dramatic way, and in a way that's sort of just intrinsically woven into the script, not as a way to, make a message, right? And that's the job of the storyteller. Is just tell the story and allow the story to grow organically and to influence your audience organically. And I think that's what we've managed to do here. So, and the story's resonating with people. I mean, I'm getting emails from people who have seen the movie, who there was one couple, and they were so impressed that everybody stayed, and then they were leaving the theater, and they said there was this older couple, and they were crying, and these these people felt like, it was one of those moments where you just felt like hugging somebody, even though you didn't know why they were crying. You just were like, and so they approached them, complete strangers, and got the story that this older couple had lost their grandson.
Wow.
A few years before, and they'd never really been able to grieve.
Wow.
And the movie gave them this opportunity to sort of see beyond, because the movie deals with, in some respects, it deals with grief. That's one of the themes of the movie. There are a lot of themes. Most importantly, it's a love story. Mm-hmm. But this couple, their takeaway was now they can finally grieve for the loss of their grandson.
Right.
And so, the movie's very much my message to the world, in a sense, as I believe most films are.
Right.
Most films are the message of the filmmaker, whichever filmmaker along the line. Mm-hmm. It's my husband's message as well. Obviously, he directed it. It's my co-writer's message as well. A lot of it is biographical to him. Mm-hmm. And so, that's the way you tell a story, right? You tell it from your heart.
Right. And that's it's beautiful and brilliant. And I'm so glad that you articulated some of these things, because putting that with the movie gives a really good perspective of, God's ability to reconcile, his ability to redeem. Even a person can be anti-God and still come back to the grace of God. It's just God's love is just throughout the entire movie, and the message is so powerful. And I think that's why people don't leave the theater and they have to sit and reflect. Yeah. Because it makes you think. And the funny thing is, the power of the gospel of Christ is kind of what is being presented. And people may not observe it because it's not the book. You're looking at it and you're saying Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. It's like, no, actually making it an applicable story that people can resonate with their own personal life, but then hear the gospel and be changed. So that's awesome. Let me see if there's another question I want to ask you here. I tried to write down something.
Before you get to the other question, you raised a point of, you go to the theater and you leave the theater kind of feeling empty.
Yeah, right.
It's like you eat, what is it, Chinese food, and you feel hungry an hour later or whatever.
Right.
And that's not what this film is. This film is to better your life. Why do we go and watch It's a Wonderful Life every year at Christmas? Why do we watch Miracle on 34th Street every year at Christmas? Sound of Music every year, right? Mm-hmm. And Christmas time, because Christmas is vacation and the holidays, and we've made these films into sort of holiday films, right? I wanted to make that kind of movie, the kind of movie that you go back to. And I've actually had emails from people who, the second week. So I went back to watch your movie again this week.
Wow.
And I have to thank you again, because, I knew what to expect this time. And I really wanted to absorb the message that was behind, because the movie's a bit of a roller coaster. So it raises you up and then it drops you down, and then it raises you up, and it's a ride. It's a ride. It's an emotional ride. And so even though this woman knew what to expect, she wanted to go see it again, because she wanted to hear the words again and get the meaning and see beneath the meaning and stuff like that. And I mean, that's really the testimony for me as a filmmaker. That's the testimony that I'm striving for. I really want this movie to be a perennial favorite, because it's a movie that shares the light.
Right.
And we are living in times where it seems like it's getting darker. It's the light's turning out, Right. And so I want to share the light, because there is hope. Mm-hmm. There is hope. There's hope for everybody. There's redemption for everybody. Right. There's forgiveness for everybody. And that's why the movie deals with forgiveness and redemption and hope. And so you leave the theater with a sense of, I want to think about this some more. I want to work on this some more, instead of that feeling of, oh, that was amazing. Yeah. Now I'm going to go have a cheeseburger. Like nothing. Yeah. Like, wow, that was amazing. And then nothing. And you don't feel like you've improved yourself. Your life hasn't changed. You've escaped, right? Because that's why we go to the movies, to sort of escape and take a little mini vacation and stuff. But you come back out of the movie theater and you're still faced with all of the same dilemmas or problems that you had before you went in. This movie, hopefully, gives you that sense of eternal perspective, and so you go back to your problems with a different attitude, and it changes you, and it makes you feel stronger somehow. and more capable somehow. So that's my hope anyway.
Right. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Because we've went through, kind of a little bit about why you made the movie, a little bit about the movie. I think it'd be very, very good for people to go out and actually watch it if they haven't seen it yet, so they can watch it and then watch the video and then put it all in perspective. We talked about our culture. We've talked about how this can be an impact in our culture and how it can kind of push society forward.
Yeah.
Now, where can we find where can we find maybe a little bit more about the movie through social media? Because all of our followers, we want them to be able to reach out outside of the theater and maybe know more about you and your husband and kind of the things that you guys do.
So lettherebelightmovie.com has all the information about the movie. It's also up on Facebook. I think it's Facebook/LTBL film, I think. But you can find it, Let There Be Light Movie, and then you just search it, you can find it. Or go to the website and find it that way. I'm at samsorbo.com. My husband, kevinsorbo.net. There's a lot of information just about us in particular, and what we're trying to do to improve the culture. Because this nation is the greatest nation on earth. It's the greatest nation in the history of the world. And if you don't believe it, look at the prosperity that we've created in this nation that has benefited the entire world. And that's why when people try to tear it down and say, no, evil, nasty, whatever. No, you're wrong.
Right.
You're wrong. And the proof is no one's swimming to Cuba. They're swimming to Key West.
Right, so, exactly.
Take another look. So I just would encourage people, go to lettherebelightmovie.com, look at the theater list and see if it's showing at a theater near you. We're still, we're maintaining, we've got, it was on a limited release. We got to, I think, 800 theaters. I think we're at 700 for this weekend. And then finally, if you've seen the movie, we really want to encourage other people to see it, bring them to see the movie. This movie should be outreach for the church, because these days it's too difficult. There's too much of a stigma attached to inviting somebody to church with you.
Right.
It's like a weird contract. Like, what are you asking me to do? But you can invite people to the movies. Mm-hmm. And you say, even if you're not a believer, even if you're atheist. In fact, Kevin posted on his Facebook page the other day, hey, all you non-believers out there, I really invite you to go see my movie, because first of all, as a non-believer, you'll probably get a laugh or two. But secondly, it depicts struggles like struggles we all go through. Mm-hmm. And so even if you don't believe in, what the person is discovering throughout the film, you still can relate to the struggle that he goes through, and you can relate to the struggles of the other people. You can relate to the family struggle, and you'll still be uplifted. So this is an outreach film. This is for everyone. And in fact, I'm hopeful. Really, Thanksgiving tends to be the time that the theaters don't do well. I think this film can perform over Thanksgiving, because it's really, truly a family movie that the whole family can go to. And they can go to, and they'll get a sense of community from the film. I mean, it depicts forgiveness. We all need that. We all need that in our families. Thanksgiving can be a very stressful time, and this film can speak into that and can pour into that and help uplift people even when they're in crisis. And then finally, it's an hour and 40 minutes that you don't have to actually speak to the people in your family. You can just sit in the movie theater.
Right. It'll buy you some time, huh? It'll buy you some time to
kidding. I'm kidding. It's a lot of fun, but it will give you dinner table conversation. And so before turkey, go to the movies and take it in and be uplifted. So that's my message.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for coming on. We really appreciate you. We love what you and your husband is doing, and all the other people who are involved in the movement that you guys are creating. So thank you so much. You just
triggered something. This is a movement. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that you encapsulated it that way. By the way, we're looking at, we will be launching DVD sales, like as pre-sales now, because we're just not able to open in as many theaters across the nation as we need to. There are people out there who really want to see the movie, but they don't want to make the 3-hour drive because it's not playing at a theater near them.
Right.
So be sure to check back to the website to see when the DVDs go on for pre-sale, and we'll be doing that fairly soon. And so really, thank you so much. And please join the movement. Invite your friends, get them to see the movie, and then on December 24th, after you see the movie, you'll know what to do.
Awesome.
Okay.
So thank you for coming on. We appreciate having you. Make sure you come back another time. We'll love to have you again.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you guys for coming on today. What a wonderful interview with such an amazing person. We're very, very thankful for Sam and her husband. Go out and watch the movie, Let There Be Light. Go see it. When you go watch it, make sure you comment in the comment section. Let us know so we can give them some feedback and let them know how the movie is doing and how you feel about the movie. So thank you guys again for watching. I love you. We'll be praying for you, and I'll see you again next time.